Hello and welcome back to part 2 of my San Andreas No Major Glitches tutorial. Last time we looked at Los Santos, which is the first segment in the game. If you haven't seen that video, I would very much recommend you to go back and watch it first, because it will explain a lot of mechanics that you will have learned during the first segment. In this second segment, I'm not going to go over and reteach them, but if you're looking specifically just for Badlands, then you're in the right place. This one is a lot shorter. It usually take about 30 minutes compared to like an hour plus for Los Santos. And all the subsequent ones are a lot shorter than LS as well. So a lot easier to practice, a lot less things to learn, but still important to get it down. You can lose a lot of time, especially if you get lost, as there's a lot of, driving around the map, long distances and such. But without further ado, we'll get started. So I'm going to be loading a save here because obviously we're not starting a new game because we're not doing the first segment. When you're doing practice, you can just start the timer once you've loaded the save. First mission spawns right here, so we'll go. If you're coming from a Los Santos run, I would recommend you to save and load to get this bike to spawn. And also, if you are a beginner, I would recommend grabbing this spawn right here. This is a micro SMG, and this will come quite in handy. It's not mandatory, but I would recommend using it. Let me go out this way. Getting a little confused because I'm not used to picking up the gun. Yeah, I'd recommend using it because it'll make this first mission quite a bit easier. But it's completely up to you. It is purely preference. For now, we just need to head up the hill, and once we get to the top, we're going to make a replay. If you're familiar with the PCJ replay that we made during LS, then it's exactly the same idea as that. But if you're not familiar, I'll give you a quick TLDR. So the idea is that we're going to make a replay of this bike to Sanchez, and the hope is that when we play that replay later on, it will make it more likely for the bike to spawn, as it will load it into the game's memory. So later on, when we need, a fast vehicle and we don't have a lot of options, we can try and get a Sanchez to spawn. It's not guaranteed, but it's, it's consistent enough to be worth doing. So we're going to pull up to the actual cutscene just here in a few seconds. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to reach over and I'm going to skip it and immediately press F2 like that. And then when I play F3, you see I've got that really short replay. Now we go here, and if you're fast enough, you can run down these guys and run them over, which will give you a gun, which you can pick up. And then you can use it to headshot this guy and get a quick kill on him. Obviously, the reason why you picked up the micro SMG is that if you miss it, you've still got a gun that you can use, and then you just can take this guy's photo. Obviously, shooting these guys isn't mandatory. You can just kill the important guy, but I'm just killing them for the sake of, so I don't die while doing it. If you do get a tire popped or anything like that, we need to head back down the hill. There is another bike here that you can use. You're intended to use that to chase the guy down. But you can use your bike or that bike. It's completely up to you. Now, as for getting down the mountain, the way that we went is quite slow. So there's a number of options that you can do. You can go over this side and just fling yourself off, but it's like very inconsistent, and you will likely die doing it. So what a lot of people do is they send themselves down this side of the cliff, as you can see. If you try and do it really slow, you'll likely fall off because you'll hit that the little path below you. But if you go fast enough, you can line onto this bit and then just sort of hit the brakes as you go down to go down nice and slowly. The important thing is to get down as quickly as possible, because the less time you spend, messing about on the mountain, and the more time you spend on ground level accelerating towards the end of the mission, the better. But however you get down, it's up to you. You can be slow and safe if you want to. But trust me, that isn't difficult at all. It is very easy to do. But either way, you pull in here, and this is mission done once we get to the marker. You can't trigger it on the bike, so just hop off, go here, and then we can just grab this next bike that's waiting for us. So now, as you can see, we don't have any mission markers on the map. So we're gonna be driving quite a distance. So it's important to keep an eye on this route, especially this route, because you'll be using it quite a lot throughout Badlands. We're also going to make use of a busted warp teleport, which is slightly inconsistent. But if you don't get it, it doesn't lose a lot of time. The important thing to remember is that if you don't get a cop car on a certain bit of the bridge, which I'll tell you in a second, just drive to the end of your next destination. It really isn't that far. And if you ever get lost at any of these points, you can always just wait for a phone call. So you can get off here, your phone will ring, you can answer it, and you see the marker has now spawned on the map. So we're going to be going onto this road here, and then once we get to this bridge, we're going to be looking for a cop car spawn on this road. If we get one, we're going to get busted, which will teleport us right to where we need to be, which is over here. If you don't get one, it isn't that far to drive, and I will show you the driving route as well, so you know what to do. But a lot of beginners especially, they think that if they don't get a cop car, they need to drive up and down this road until they get one. It isn't necessary. You lose like less than a minute, and you could spend, you know, 3 or 4 minutes waiting for a car. It's luck. You know, we can't really influence the spawns. It is quite consistent, but sometimes you just get unlucky. It's the way it is, you know. So if you get a spawn here, it's too early, so don't worry about it. There's a certain point where, like, the cop car becomes relevant. Because if you busted warp here, you'll get sent back to Angel Pine, which is not good. Or something like that. You get teleported, like, the wrong way, basically. But as soon as you get past this little bridge section here, this is where you can get a cop car and you can use it. So there's a cop car here. All that you would do is just shoot at it, and they would get out. You can get in the car, and they'll bust you. And it will teleport you to our destination. But let's say, hypothetically, you don't get a cop car. All you need to do is follow this route. And we're just going to take the road back through LS and then back through Badlands. As I say, it really doesn't lose a lot of time at all. Just go here, take the first left, and then left again. And this will take you all the way to where we want to be. Keep on straight here. Watch out for the jumps, because sometimes you get stuck in midair and you hit a car, which is quite annoying. But yeah, this big intersection here is where we're going to turn off, because it's where we need to be in Delamore. And then usually, after you would get busted warped, this is where you would answer the call. Or obviously, you know, if you've driven, you can answer it here, but we've already taken it. So I'm going to cancel this call. You wouldn't need to usually do this, but we'll take that call later, so don't worry about it. So the important bit now, once you spawn in Catalina, is get in a vehicle as soon as possible, because the dialogue only continues here when you're in a vehicle, and we need the dialogue to finish before we can unlock the next few missions. And then we're just going to park up here, because this is where the gas station target is going to be. So it'll be the last one that comes up. There we go. Let's skip this cutscene, and I'm going to run, and I'm going to punch Catalina. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to have my gun out, but I'm going to punch her, which causes her to aggro me. It seems a little sketchy, but the only reason why you do that is because if you were to usually have her run towards the thing, you might accidentally run her over while you're backing in to pick up the trailer, basically. So you don't have to do that, but yeah, just make sure you have your fists out so you don't accidentally shoot her like I did. Yeah, these guys are absolutely no threat. You don't need to worry about them. And just drive to the destination. It looks like you probably should go south here, but west and then south is better. It's more direct.
Keep her steady so I can get a good shot. We'll get ourselves killed.
Cut this corner. Just be careful that you don't jackknife it. Basically, jackknifing means, like, you know, disconnecting the trailer from the rig, because if you do in this particular mission, the mission instantly fails for some odd reason. I don't know why. So yeah, you can stick the roads if you're not confident with taking these little shortcuts. There's another shortcut that you can do over here, over the corner, but ultimately these are pretty safe. Once the mission finishes, just get anything you can, because we're not going to be going very far. So just any car. Yes, I'll take this. Oh, let's see. Sure, I'll take this. Your choice of traffic vehicles is usually quite terrible, but as I say, we're not going very far, so it doesn't matter. We're going to head straight west, and we're going to go on this path, and we're going to do a death warp here. This death warp you should absolutely do no matter what, because it doesn't require, like, luck with, like, a police vehicle or anything. And it teleports you all the way to Angel Pine, which is very far away. Driving would take a very long time here. So we're going to go cut across. Be careful on that little ridge. You can flip. I said to do it and then immediately flipped. And we're going to go to this like little ridge here. It's kind of dark, so you can't really see it, but I hope it comes across okay. We're going to answer one phone call, because we need to answer two, so we're going to do it right now. We're going to run up here, and we're just going to jump off at the top. It's important to not like run and jump off, but just like drop off, because then we're going to stay in the zone to teleport to Angel Pine. If you run and jump off the edge, then you might end up in a situation where you're, getting teleported somewhere else, which is not good. If you see a bike here, you should absolutely take it while we're taking the second call for Body Harvest. Having a bike here on Body Harvest is great. It is really good to have. This is an example of where you can also use your Sanchez replay. If you don't get a bike, you can play the Sanchez replay in a hope that you'll get a Sanchez here, which is like the ideal bike. But either way, whether you have a bike or a car, ultimately it doesn't matter. Don't spend too long trying to get a bike. Just take a car. It's just a little more annoying. The big reason why the bike is so important is because of the accuracy glitch that we mentioned back in LS. Basically, that if you take a car to certain missions in certain scenarios, the enemies will be way more accurate. And these guys have country rifles that do a ton of damage per shot, and they will just absolutely blast you if you take a car. So try and get a bike as much as you can, but don't spend 10 minutes waiting around. It isn't worth it, you know? So up this hill is a little tricky to get up. I would always recommend going up the left side because you can see it's a lot less steep. So go up this little bit here and you should be able to get a nice direct route up. If you're taking a car, you can just take the trail, but it's a little bit slower. Gonna hit this marker, skip the cutscene, and then we're gonna head all the way through. Ignoring all the tractors and stuff. A few of them are gonna spawn, so I'd recommend hugging the right hand side like this, so then as you see they don't hit you. And then I'm going to intentionally fling myself over here. Hopefully this guy shoots me. Perfect. You want to take at least 1 point of damage for a reason that I'll mention later. Then here, I don't know if I mentioned this in the LS video, so I'm going to explain it really quick because it's quick. You need to be fast here. So in San Andreas with melee combat, usually you just like mash left click with your fist to punch people, but that doesn't do a lot of damage. But what you can do is you can do like your like fighting combo moves by holding right mouse button and pressing F. And that does like a combo that knocks somebody onto the ground, and you can stun lock them with stomps. And you'll see how quickly I kill this guy. And it's important because if you try and just punch him with left click, you'll punch and knock him away, and then he'll just shoot you dead. And that's obviously not good. So instead, we're going to go in front of him. As you can see, it does a ton of damage. But I'm going to hold right mouse, mash F, and I just absolutely destroyed him there, as you can see. I want his rifle. He usually doesn't get stuck into the combine harvester when you do this, so I'm just going to back up, get out, and grab the rifle and get back in. But usually you would be able to pick up this guy's rifle pretty easily. Health doesn't matter because we're going to death warp after this, so it's all good. But yeah, once you got the combine harvester, we're just going to drive back and send it to Truth's farm. But yeah, the reason why your health total is important is because if you... So at the end of this mission, we're going to be stood right next to a BF injection, and we need to die somehow to get back to Angel Pine for the next mission. Again, death warping is massively worth it because Angel Pine is quite far away. So we pick up this guy's rifle and we're going to shoot the gas tank with the BF injection to blow it up. But the issue is that blowing up a car, even if you're stood next to it, only does like 82 or 83 % of your health, basically. So it's not enough to kill you on full health. So the ideal thing is that you take enough damage from the rifle so that the explosion will kill you. Now, if the explosion doesn't kill you, there is a chance that you'll be fine. Because the car will create fire and you can stand in the fire, but that doesn't always happen. Sometimes the fire doesn't spawn. So in the event that the fire doesn't spawn, the only other way to die effectively is to jump up on this fence, the shed, and routinely take fall damage, which I'll show you as well. So we skip this call, we end the mission right here, and we're going to shoot this gas tank. As I say, if you take full damage and you don't die from this, which I'm going to die, so I'm not going to do it just yet, jump on this shed and take full damage until you die. Yeah, the ideal thing is that you blow up and die straight away, like this. The second most ideal thing is that it creates fire, and then you step in the fire and die. But if that doesn't happen, then just grab the shed and jump off until you die. So here you can look out with a good vehicle if you want to try it, but I would always recommend just grabbing the ambulance, because the ambulance is a fast, consistent vehicle, and we're literally driving down the street to this mission, so we don't need to go very far. Excuse my terrible driving. So this is just a cutscene mission. There's really nothing to it. King in Exile, go into it, answer the phone call, and then we're just going to be doing the same route back to where we were before, and exactly the same thing, exactly the same route, same busted warp idea. Again, if you don't get the busted warp, just drive to the Catalina marker. It's exactly the same, except the only difference is that we're going to be going to Catalina's hideout rather than Dillamore. So if you get busted warp, you spawn as Dillamore and we'll drive there. I'll show you that. Or if you don't, you just drive, and instead of turning right to Dillamore, you just go across the bridge and then turn right to Catalina's place. That's all. It's the only difference. But this time, hopefully, I'll get a busted warp. If I do, I'll show you it. If not, then we'll just drive. Obviously, it's kind of difficult to show busted warps when it requires luck. You know, I could keep, like, driving up and down, but it's, you know, it's silly and a waste of time. So we'll just drive if we don't get one. So from now on, I'm going to be looking out for a cop car. It's very dark, so it's kind of difficult to see, and I have terrible vision as it is. There's one. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to ram into it. That should have given me a star, but it didn't. If it doesn't, instead, you know, punch it. And I'm just going to get in and let him bust me.
Well, we got you in the end. Shut up.
You see we spawn in Dillamore. This is where you would be. Ideally, you get a bike here. Again, you can use your Sanchez replay here. But I looked out anyway and got one. And now we're just going to head northwest towards the bridge, because we could go straight northeast here, but there's a big thing of water that we need to get around, so. We need to go across this bridge, and then we're going to go to Catalina's. So it's unlikely that you'll get a Sanchez here. This is very lucky. You're more likely to get, like, you know, a kind of terrible vehicle like a Clover, an Esperanto or something. But just take whatever you can get. It's not a very long drive. You know, you can't be too picky in the Badlands. The vehicles are usually quite bad. And then we'll start next Catalina mission. So she has a Buffalo. You should, like, always use this because it is extremely good. It's an extremely fast car. And we're going to be going to the bank first. The order doesn't really matter of what missions you do in terms of, like, playing casually, because it's, like, non-linear. But for the speedrun, it is important to do it in the order that I'm going to show you, because Catalina's dialogue at the end of the missions is different depending on the, you know, the ones that you do, to, you know, reflect what you've already done and what you've still got to do left, or what you still have to do left, excuse me. So if you do it in this order, Catalina has the shortest amount of dialogue, which is the reason that we do it this way. That's the only reason. So we're going to go here. We need to keep these guys' hands up, but we can just shoot this guy and immediately fail it and grab his gun. You're going to fail it anyway eventually. It's like, you know, it's like intended to happen. So instead we just fail it straight away, because we're going to fail it no matter what anyway. So we're going to blow these things up with a shotgun. You can do a crouch cancel here, where you just shoot and then double tap your crouch button to save cocking the shotgun. It's a little bit faster. You can shoot this door before Catalina does to go out. If you do that on Definitive Edition, you'll soft lock. Fun fact for you. And now, these guys' spawns are random. They're not always in the same place, but just do your best to just sort of go along, kill them. If Catalina's, like, dealing with them, she's usually pretty good, as you can see with hitting them, because she has a shotgun. Kill a couple of guys, kill these here. And obviously you do need to kind of kill everyone as you go, because otherwise Catalina will stop and kill them, and the less she stops, the better. We'll kill this guy. And then once you've cleared out most of them, head down this alleyway. And we're going to go to ammunition, and we're going to grab a couple of things. Because we just busted warped, we have nothing right now besides what we just picked up. But we're going to need a couple of things. So I would usually, the absolute, like, minimum thing that you get if you're like a world record holder is a rifle for a couple of strategies later. So always get the rifle. These next two things are optional, but I would recommend getting them if you're a beginner. Armor, just for safety, get a bit more health, why not? And I would also recommend getting a SMG of some kind, like a Tech 9. And the reason for that is because it's going to be quite a tricky strategy later that involves using that rifle. And if you mess it up and you don't have a backup, then you're in trouble. So instead, I would recommend getting the SMG, which sort of acts as like a safety precaution, basically. Either way, Catalina should have cleared out the rest of them. Run here, you'll trigger the section. Just be careful, because these guys, one of them has a shotgun, I think. So just make sure that you kill that guy on the right-hand side, because he can do a lot of damage to you otherwise. So Catalina asked you to follow her. We're not going to do that. We're going to go this way instead, as it is faster. We need to get to our end destination. Be careful over this bridge. There's a little bit of invisible geometry sticking out. If you go the way that I did, you won't hit it. But if you go like over like the center of the bridge, there's a good chance you might hit it and flip or fall off or lose your bike or something. So just be careful with that. Okay, we're going to be going here. This is where Catalina gets like trapped by the police. And what we're going to do is, this is also optional, but I'd recommend doing it. We're going to go here and we're going to pick up these satchels. We're going to grab these again later, but 2 spawns is way better than 1. And the more satchels you have later, the more you can make mistakes later on. I'm going to hold the horn here, which is going to stop the cops from busting me. As we talked about during LS, if you're holding the horn, they won't arrest you most of the time. While we wait for Catalina to get on. And then we just take her back, and we're done with this mission. Once you pass this mission, park the bike a little further away before you start the next mission, because we're going to use it. So I'm going to put it like here. And you can optionally save here as well to get any health back that you may have lost. It doesn't really matter. There are like micro adjustments that you can make to have like optimal time of day during the races so that you have less traffic. But I wouldn't worry about that kind of micromanagement until you're a bit more, confident with the game. So instead, we're going to go west here to local liquor store, which is our second option. And this is the difficult one with the strategy, basically, the one that involves like a difficult strategy. I don't know why I went this way. I'm talking and doing it at the same time. Go this way. This is correct. So here, I'll kind of talk you through it before we start, because like as soon as you hit this marker, we're going to be in the zone, like we need to get going. So the idea is that these guys escape on quad bikes that we're going to be chasing, and the idea is that you take the quad bike and Catalina sits on the back and shoots them, but she takes forever to kill them. And we're right next to Catalina's hideout right now, so ideally that's where the mission ends. The quicker we kill them, the less distance we have to travel back to the hideout. It saves a ton of time, as you can imagine. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a lineup, and we're going to pull out our rifle and snipe these guys. They both take 2 shots each, so you need to hit 6 shots, and you only have a few seconds to do it, which is what makes it difficult before they go out of reach. But as a beginner, try and do as much damage as you can with the rifle. Obviously, practice it. Ideally, you get it, but if you don't, I'll show you what you can do with the Tech 9 instead, which is the contingency plan. Okay, so we're going to hit this marker. We're going to skip the cutscene, and we're going to immediately get off the quad bike because our bike is actually behind us and our bike is faster. You can ditch Catalina or bring her with you. It doesn't really matter. I personally like to bring her with me. And I go here, and then I'm going to line up, and this is where you hit the shots, as you can see. But with San Andreas' terrible grid aiming, it is quite difficult to hit these shots. Also, sometimes Catalina trolls you, as you can see. So that's 5 shots there, I'm pretty sure. So I killed 2 of them, and the other guy is on 1 health. Catalina, I don't know what you're doing. But obviously I could have finished them off there, but I'm going to show you what happens if you miss the shots. So if you miss the shots, don't worry. Just chase them down, and this is what we've got our trusty Tech 9 for. So grab the briefcases on the way. If you can, you can pick them up while on the bike, so you don't have to worry about it. And then we're just going to go down and gun him down ourselves, because Catalina is too slow. So we're just going to do it ourselves. Obviously, if you have all three guys on big health, this will take a bit longer. But yeah, as you can see there, you can just absolutely demolish this guy really quickly. So if you get to this situation, do not cut across here, because it's actually a massive jump over a hill to get here, and you'll likely kill either yourself or Catalina or both. So instead, just go round. I've done this before in a run, and I've killed a run this way. But yeah, as you can see, you would like launch yourself off this massive cliff, and that is not a good idea. So yeah, that's probably the hardest mission in this segment. So if you're able to get that down, then you're in business. This is quite an easy segment, but that is definitely a tricky part for sure.
Come and see me again when you think you understand it. Goodbye.
So you can save again here if you need to. I don't need to, so I'm not going to. And don't worry about the bike. We don't need it anymore. We can take the Buffalo instead.
Cool. Maybe you won't.
Bikes are usually faster when you don't have a passenger because you can use the lean up exploit. But obviously, when you have a passenger, you can't lean forward on a bike. So the bike doesn't become nearly as fast as the Buffalo. So Buffalo is the way to go most of the time in this segment. So here, if you did save the game in between Small Town Bank, it will have passed 6 hours in game, which is how long it takes for a weapon to respawn. So we can grab the satchels again here, and you see now we have 40 instead of 25. It barely loses any time, and it gives you so much extra wiggle room in terms of using satchels or potentially making mistakes with strategies later on in the run, that I would heavily recommend making sure you have 40 before you come out. Speaking of strategies with satchels, here usually you would blow up the door and then blow up instead, but if you stand right next to the door and aim like this, you can throw a thing through the door and then blow everything up at once. The door didn't explode for some reason. I have no idea why that happened, but sure. Try again. There we go. As you can see, you can blow it up at the same time. Once you make that detonation, while you're waiting on Catalina's dialogue, don't go towards the safe because that explosion will damage you. And it can kill you if you're, stood too close to it. So just keep that in mind. So here we're going to spawn. Catalina's going to say, get in the car. We've got a 4-star wanted level. Do not kill any cops. As you see, they run at you like that. Be sure to avoid them, because we're going to do a strategy here that instead of going to the pay and spray, which is absolutely miles away down here, I think it's in, Dillamore, which is all the way down here. Instead, we're going to be picking up a couple of bribe stars and abusing the sort of wanted level system. So whenever you're in Badlands, usually if you've played GTA, you would know that your wanted level would not expire by itself when you have a higher than a 1-star wanted level. But that is not the case here. If you run over a cop, that will be the case. But otherwise, your wanted level will eventually, what's the word? Expire. Mine hasn't, because I think I actually killed that cop. So what you would usually do is you would go down to 3 stars here, and then you would pick up this bribe star, you would pick up the next bribe star, and then you would go down to 1 star, and then you would drive back to Catalina's place, and that would expire by itself. But it's actually good, because I'm going to show you what happens if you accidentally kill a cop. So we're going to go here and pick up this bribe star, then we're going to wait to pick up this bribe star until we go down to 2 stars. It will eventually happen, it will take a little while, but if you pick up this bribe star now, you won't go down from 2 stars. So you have to wait. The important thing to remember is to just wait around and make sure that you're mobile and drive about, because Catalina is extremely dangerous with her deagle shooting from the passenger side, and she can blow up cars very easily and will kill you. This wanted level is taking forever to expire. There we go. I don't know why it took that long, but that's just the way it is. But yeah, so this is the backup if you do accidentally create a bit of chaos. I don't know how I killed that cop, but I guess I did. That's the only reason I can think of why that happened. But yeah, so that's the backup. Otherwise, just pick up the bribes and go straight back to Catalina's place. But if you do accidentally not lose your wanted level like I did there, then there you go. There's the backup for you.
To impress me, Carl Johnson.
This is all of Catalina's stuff done. There's only 3 missions left to go, and 2 of them are very easy races. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep this Buffalo, and we're going to head straight to the east. This is exactly the same. It's a straight drive down to where our next mission is going to be. But if you do get lost, you can get out and answer the call to know where you're going. But obviously, you've got a video here that you can follow. We're literally just going straight. Excuse me. This guy is blocking me. And we're just going right here, and this is where the race is going to start. With this race, you can start it with any vehicle. Obviously, Catalina's Buffalo is extremely fast, so it makes sense to use it. See, the car is right here. We need a car. We've got one. And we can just get in the car and the mission will start right away. So these races are quite simple. It's the same track the second time, you just do it backwards. Obviously, these guys have quite shit tier cars, so the only sort of danger is potentially doing what that stallion just did and sinking. So just be very careful with it. I'm not the best driver. I'm going to keep it real with you. Anyone who has a world record in these racing levels will probably cringe watching me drive. But I always prefer to take it safe because, why risk it so deep into a run at this point, you know, trying to like save seconds unless you're going for like a world record. Like you can floor it over this little bump, but it's too scary for me, and obviously you're a beginner, so it should be too scary for you as well. So just take it nice and chill. You'll aim to beat this mission in like 2.5 minutes or something, I think is a good time, something like that. You know, for like a sort of beginner intermediate level. World records hit like 2:10s because they're ridiculous and they know every micro optimization possible. But yeah, this is all about just like sort of learning the route, cutting the corners. There isn't too much to it. The second race is going to have a very important thing, like very, very important. So do not skip both the races if you're like, oh, it's just racing, there's nothing to learn. Skip until the start of the second race, and I'll give you a very important thing that you need to remember. Because it's going to affect the rest of your run if you don't do it. So, yeah, if you're skipping forward, go to the start of the second race, and I'll see you there. So a little shortcut here you can take to skip the corner. And then also on this one coming up on the next hill, there's sort of like, I don't know how to describe it, but you'll know it. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. There's a like an awkward like ridge which you like can either drive around or drive over, but you don't actually have to do either. You can just go alongside it and the marker will still count. It's right here. You can see here, you can either go round this little awkward bump, but you can just go straight past it and cut the corner even better. And then once we're here, this is mission done. So this is where it's very important to keep an eye. We're going to drive right here because this is where the next mission is going to start. We're just going to wait here. Oh, slightly missed a marker. So here, as soon as the race starts and you gain control, make a replay. So F2 right now. And this is going to give you a replay of 2 ZRs, an Elegy, which is that pink car, and a Sultan, which is that red car in front of you. This is super, super important because later on, we're going to get to a section where we're going to need like fast cars throughout all of San Fierro and all of Las Venturas. And that replay is going to spawn them for you. So it is very important to make that replay. In pretty much any category, you'll be using that replay until the end of the run because it is so, so good with the amount of time it can save. So yeah, very important to do that. Very, very important. If you're now just going, oh, is the rest of it just a race? Yes, this is, as I say, this is the same thing backwards. So feel free to skip ahead until the final mission of Badlands. But otherwise, just enjoy my terrible driving. That was almost very bad. As I say, terrible driver. Alright, that's the final race done. What you do here doesn't matter while you're waiting for the mission to end, because it'll reset you back anyway. You can technically, if you want to be hyper efficient, you can drive like I am to increase your driving skill, but it really doesn't matter. So now we're going to be heading all the way down to Angel Pine. We're going to be taking this road and then all the way south, all the way down here. Sadly, driving is the fastest way. We could like death warp and stuff, but losing all our guns loses too much time. And the same principle applies here. If you get lost, get out, answer the call from the truth, and he will show you where his farm is. But if not, I will show you. We'll be heading straight down here, then we're going south across the bridge. If for whatever reason you do like trash your car like I am, we are next to Catalina's place. Oh my god, this guy's getting out and is trying to threaten me with a baseball bat. But yeah, we are right next to Catalina's place, so you can get her buffalo maybe, but it shouldn't be a problem. Say, I am a really awful driver. So, and even then it's rare that I trash my car on this drive. So we're going to go south across the bridge. We're going to go past this little thing. I am really demolishing this car. I do apologize. But yeah, we're going to go across here. And then this little bit here, we can actually just straight up cut across it. And it's not too bad to drive across. So we're going to jump down here. Cut all the way across. And then we're going to be where we finished Tanker Commander. And then we're just going to drive along the west road and we'll be at the farm. So yeah, I've really made this look as difficult as possible. But trust me, it isn't that bad. So down there is where we took the tanker. We're going to go west instead. Be careful trying to cut this corner because it's quite a steep. You know, it's like a... It doesn't look that steep, but when you hit it, you will flip. So just keep that in mind. I'm just going to follow this road all the way around. And then once we're there, we're right on top of the Truce farm. We can just send our car off into space. It doesn't make a difference once we're there. A fun fact about this next mission is you don't actually need to answer the call to trigger the marker. If you know where the marker is, it's invisible, but you can start the mission if you want to. I don't recommend to, because obviously we need to answer phone calls later anyway, in No Major Glitches to unlock missions. So I'd recommend answering the call regardless, but yeah, just a fun little fact while we're driving along. Yeah, so at this point, don't need to care about the car. The mission marker is right here. We'll answer the call. There it is. We'll start the mission. So here we're going to be using the satchels. Immediately switch away from the flamethrower because it's terrible and slow. And the cops arrival's in 5.5 minutes, even though the police chopper is right there already. I don't know how we haven't already failed, but whatever. It's, you know, weird San Andreas stuff. Throw a satchel around here, do a jump, throw another satchel, jump, and then throw another satchel. This is just a reference for destroying the weed. Blow it up. And ideally, you'll blow up everything. Obviously, if you accidentally miss or there's any stragglers, then just go back and blow them up. But it's still way faster than doing it with the flamethrower. Same again here, because these ones are quite long, so you need 3 satchels to destroy them. These ones, you only need 2. So throw the satchel, walk to where the satchel was, and then do a fully charged throw. And you should be able to destroy them all. And then rinse and repeat here as well. Throw, walk forward, full powered throw. Walk forward. Full powered throw. Should destroy it all. I missed one because I didn't quite throw it far enough there. There we go. That should be good. That should be good. Go to the truth. Skip the cutscene. You get a rocket launch. You got to destroy the helicopter. It should be right above you, so it's not too hard to hit. Immediately run away because this helicopter explodes like 1,000,000 times. Sometimes, as you can see, it's just like blowing up over and over again. So make sure you don't get caught by it because obviously it'll do a ton of damage to you. Every explosion is 80% of your health, so keep that in mind. Truth will be trying to drive away to the east, but he's dumb and not fast like we are. We're going to be going west instead. We're going to be hugging near these trees, and then we're going to be going onto this road, and then it's all roads up to San Fierro. And then we're pretty much done. We're at the final stretch. So if you made it this far, again, congrats. You are officially a third of the way through learning segments. As we're at 2 out of 6. LS and Badlands are done. Next up, San Fierro, Desert, Las Venturas, and Return to Los Santos. But as I say, all the later ones are a lot shorter. San Fierro is probably the longest, but it's not as long as Los Santos. So here you can drive over this little thing here. and just sort of fling yourself off. It's very difficult to flip the mothership. You can do it, but it's very rare. And you can also use your directional keys in midair to, you know, sort of control the car to make sure that you don't land super awkwardly. If you don't want to risk that, you can just drive along until you get to the path and cut across. And then we're going to cut across here onto the train tracks. And then up onto this road, and then we're straight to Doherty, which is where our marker is.
Where's the spot at?
It's in Doherty, on the east side of Fierro, between Garcia and Easter Basin.
As soon as True tells you the destination, we're already there, pretty much. And we are done. So congratulations. Thank you for joining. Hope you learned something. Obviously, any questions, post them in the comments or send me a message on Discord or Twitter or something. And yeah, we'll make a save, and I will see you for the next segment, which will be San Fierro. Take care.